Look, I'm fully aware of the fact a man in his 30s makes podcast, vlog, video about something he's interested in and thinks he has all the knowledge. I'm aware, look, idle hands and all that shit. I'm also aware of the fact that there is a much more established motoring journalist out there doing something similar, but he didn't invent the wheel and we're all allowed to appreciate it, so say that be. Strange time to be a car enthusiast, because, well, strange time to be anyone really, but the car world has essentially stopped. I suppose, like, yes, we'll talk coronavirus to start with, because, you know, it's what we're all living through and we'll get it out of the way basically. So yeah, people aren't buying cars, therefore manufacturers aren't building them. Most of them have sent their staff home, as they should, or they've been told to anyway. But it's great to see the car world has really come together. Manufacturers are just, there's too much to list. Everyone's chipping in, but manufacturers lending fleets of cars, opening up facilities to be used for medical purposes or just anything, and then helping delivering people food. But I think obviously we have to give hats off to Mercedes Formula One, who managed to reverse engineer a ventilator and retool, and they can now make 10,000 of these a week, they say, which is just amazing. It just shows how amazing Formula One is and the technology involved. But yeah, okay, other than that, I hope everyone is staying safe, everyone is well, and if you're not well, my heart goes out to you and best of luck, and I hope you get better soon. And if you have lost someone to the coronavirus and you happen to be watching this video, I'm sorry in both cases, but again, my heart goes out to you, and we're all trying to get through it. So fingers crossed we'll come out the other end better off. We shall see, but fingers crossed everything sorts itself out soon. So I'm just going to talk shit about cars. That's been going on of recent, as not a lot's going on in the car world. So let's have a look. Let's see. I bookmarked a few things worth talking about, I think. Turn on, you bastard. Fingerprint readers on phones can go suck a lemon. When was this? 3rd of April, the Porsche, the 992 generation Porsche Targa was seen filming up in the fucking Arctic Circle. The Targa, like, it's heavier than a cabriolet. It's slightly more rigid, I believe, but if you're worried about rigidity, you're going to get the coupe. It looks well. It looks better than the cabriolet, I suppose. But, they've blatantly just referred back to the old original Targa, which, admittedly, I'd have an original Targa. Wouldn't be the first Porsche I'd buy, but it'd be a nice thing to have in a garage. I think the Dutch police had a Targa as well. That'd be quite cool. It'd be nice to come across one of those. But the 992 911 just does nothing for me. Is there anything else new car news wise? Oh, fuck. So McLaren are going to make 150 fewer of these Elva things that they're going to make. The Elva being this windscreenless roadster thing. They followed suit, like Ferrari last year, by the two Monzas, and then they said they're going to release this, and then Bentley came along and said they're going to release I think it's called the Bacalar, and then Aston Martin are making one as well. I can't remember the name of their one. These things just don't make any sense to me. They're just less practical versions of cars that already exist. They kind of look cool, but it's always function over form with cars. There can be cars that look beautiful, and there are some exceptions to that. There's some shit cars that are just cool because they look well, but a car always is cooler when function follows form, and if beauty comes from that, well, that's just a bonus. And McLaren are the worst at this. McLaren should just make sports cars. They shouldn't make lifestyle vehicles. So anyway, they were going to make 399 of them, and now they're saying they're making 249 to make it more exclusive from feedback from their current customer base. Basically, they couldn't sell them all. I don't know how many Ferrari Monzas they made, but Ferrari, whether we like to admit it or not, are a lifestyle brand basically at this point. So they can get away with it, and they're Italian, so style they get an extra style point regardless. I think Bentley are only making 12 of the ones that they're doing, and Aston Martin only making 80 odd, I think, and for far less money. So it was never going to work really. You could just buy yourself how much is this thing? £1.4 million. I think you could probably buy 3 or 4 675 LTs for that kind of money. It's probably a better car. Although this Elva thing does have they said they have this like S duct thing that goes through the front, which they said at, I think it's some ridiculous speed, like 120 miles an hour, maybe it's 70 miles an hour, or whatever. Anyway, that it will mimic a windscreen because it will shoot the air above the car. So basically, you won't be able to feel the wind against your face, so you can drive it without a helmet. Not that anyone is going to drive these, other than up and down whatever the big high street is in London. I don't know the names of streets in Dublin, so don't ask me. Oh, there was a thing put up on Pistonheads today. I can't remember the name, but it's someone that's made a current gen or previous gen, wherever, if they still make the Quattroporte, a Maserati Quattroporte shooting brakes. They've turned it into an estate car. The newer Quattroporte just doesn't have the same charm, and this shooting brake has a diesel in it as well. Really. But what they did link to in the Pistonheads article was the one that I'd forgotten about, which they'd made. When was this? Well, it was sold again in 2013. It was originally brought out in the Geneva Motor Show. No, this year, yeah. So it's the first generation Quattroporte, which is an incredibly cool car as it is, and it was converted into a shooting brake. But this one has the Ferrari V8 in it still. It's green, which is always cool, and it's got the best wheels I think I've ever seen on an estate car. Yeah, that's just a fabulous looking thing, and it was nice to be reminded of it. And if it ever came for sale and I had the money, I would get into some serious bidding war. So that was nice. What else have we got? Oh, again, Pistonheads turned me onto this one. A spotted article that they had. A Ferrari 550 Maranello for sale. The 550 seems to be a bit divisive with people. Some people don't like the look of it and stuff. I've always had a keen interest in it because it's a Ferrari of that era that, I was like, when was it launched? It was launched in 1996, so I would have been 10, and it went on until the mid 2000s. So I was too young to be able to drive cars, but old enough to be absolutely engrossed and fascinated by them. So it's that era of Ferrari. I'm a big Ferrari fan, that I just love. This one for sale. Well, for one, perfect colour combo. It's Tour de France blue over tan leather, and perfect. It's a manual. I think the 550 was only in a manual, if I'm not mistaken. And the person who's selling this one, they upgraded the brakes and the wheels to Enzo wheels and brakes, the brakes are amazing, and the wheels actually work really well on the 550. I just usually say keep it stock, but this works. It's OEM plus, I suppose. But the thing that seals the deal is the former owner of this car is Ross Brawn. The original owner. It was delivered to him. Whether he bought it or it was a gift, we don't know. But if you don't know who Ross Brawn is, so the Ferrari link, he was the Ferrari Formula 1 team principal from 90. When did he join? I think he joined 97 or 98. He didn't come the same year as Schumacher. Schumacher and him used to work together at Benetton. They won 2 championships together. Well, 1 constructors and 2 drivers. And then Schumacher went to Ferrari in 96, and then he got this dream team around him. Well, thanks to Sean Todt, he built this dream team. Ross Brawn came over to Ferrari team principal, and then from 1999 technically up until 2004, Ferrari and Schumacher were unstoppable. And so that 550 that's for sale, I think it was delivered to him in 1999. And he kept it for a couple of years. And also Ross Brawn, because his current role is he is the head of motorsport for FOM, who are the commercial side of Formula 1. So if anyone can fix the bland racing in Formula 1, it's Ross Brawn, and he's going to bring in some changes which were supposed to come in next year, but again, coronavirus has pushed that back a bit. So 2022 we're going to see some new rule changes brought in that were developed amongst others, but implemented by Ross Brawn. So I have faith in Ross Brawn. And also as well, if you're unfamiliar with the world of Formula 1, just look up the 2009 Formula 1 season. It's an epic sports story. I won't get into it, just look it up. It's great. What else have I got here? So what else have I been doing while on lockdown? We haven't been able to drive. Okay, yeah, so I'll talk about the old BMW 5 Series, which I'm sitting in. It ticked over to 113,000 miles there not so long ago. Take from that what you will. Yeah, it's been all good. It has a valid NCT now, which is fine. It failed initially because there was a gouge taken out of the driver's side tyre. So I realised then, I opened up the boot and there's a full-size spare with a 5-year-old, I think it's a Continental. Different profile for the rest of them, but it's not on the driven axle, so it's fine. Struck that on, brought it back, got it cert, so that's all good. Yeah, so I don't know what the next move really is. When I originally bought it, I was like, oh, I'll keep it up to, when the tax starts to run out that was on it, and I'll move it on, probably. I kind of like, depending on the NCT, if I pass the NCT, well then I'll try and sell it, because it'd be easier to sell with an NCT. So it's past that NCT, and I'm like, will I sell it? Well, there's no point in trying to sell a car now, because no one's going to buy them. I don't really want to interact with anyone from the public. So I've taxed it again. So I've taxed it for another 3 months. Just before we went into total lockdown, there was one day I hadn't driven it in 3 or 4 days, and I started it up and I had a really lumpy idle. So I took it out and I didn't redline it, but I took it down the motorway at a gentle pace, and it kind of cleared its throat, and it's been fine since. I've only been using it to make essential shop runs and stuff. But it seems to be fine now. Yeah, it's I've fallen in love with it a little bit, I'm not going to lie. Plus, my mum was reading I think it was The Independent, and there was a story about a woman who'd, I think she had to donate part of her liver, I think, to save her newborn child. Heartwarming story as it is. But it turns out then her dad, who's passed away, was the guy who used to own this car. So I think I kind of feel obligated to keep it alive, because it's in such decent nick. Other than that, let's say that one occasion of lumpy idle, which I think was just because it had been sitting for a couple of days. Yeah, it's all good, and I really like it. So we'll see. So I said as well, while I was doing this, is I would pick up one random car or model car from my collection that's in a box in the bottom of a wardrobe. The first one that came out was this. It's the Jaguar XK180 concept car. So this was like the precursor to the F-Type, because there was this XK180, and then a few years later they came out with an F-Type concept, which looked quite like this. It was silver. There's a few slight design changes, but it was pretty much the same as this. Actually, the F-Type concept that they had, I remember it was on an episode of Blue Peter, which was live, and if anyone's too young to know what Blue Peter is, it was just look it up, kids, you have the internet. So the presenter comes in, someone pushes in, the engine's not running, he gets out, and has like a wraparound windscreen that goes right into the door glass, and he closed the door on his finger, and just a slight twitch in his eye, but then he plays it off. Fair play to him. So there was this anyway before that F5 concept. It was cool. It was fully functioning supercharged V8, the ubiquitous supercharged V8 that Jaguar has used for God knows how long. I think it's been discontinued since. This was actually at the Tearing Your Car show a few years ago, and me and my buddies got to see it, which was cool. Jaguar always brings something cool to the Tearing Your Car show, because they started it. As much as the Owners Club is not the most welcoming of folk. So this was the model car I wanted to discuss. I hope you liked my fun information. So then when I was cataloguing my magazines, I found this old issue of Top Gear. This is some hair metal dude walking down the street. That is extreme. Sleeveless t-shirt and curly, like almost waist length, curly bleached blonde hair. There you go. We've fallen into 1985. So yes, this issue of Top Gear, which if you see, I'm going to put the XK180 down for a second before it rolls off. The XK180 is on the cover. It's one of the reasons why I have such an affiliation for the car is because it was on the TV version of Top Gear. Clarkson did the review. There's Clarkson in the car. Youthful Clarkson. So this is from April 1999. £4. Where's the fucking price tag? £4.27. Yeah. April 1999. And it's just, this must be, I do believe they did make two, because this one has a different interior to my one. This one has like a caramel brown interior, and this one has like a fire extinguisher and 2 white bucket seats, and the rest is just like Alcantara. But I do believe they made two. That was probably a show car, and this is probably the functioning prototype. Yeah, it's a cool car. What else is in this old issue of Top Gear? Are you glad you're watching this? You're watching a middle-aged, well, not middle-aged, am I? 33. You're watching a grown man leafing through an old magazine, which is probably older than some of the people watching this video. Also, old issues of Top Gear, there's kind of a gap. This is number 67. They also did a redesign at some point. There's a gap in my collection, so I went from like issue 88 of Top Gear, and then I think my next one after that is 123, so there's a bit of a gap. But these white spined issues of Top Gear used to have these things written on the side of them, so I don't know if you can see what that one says. It says Jockey, Wilson says. I don't know, someone more closer to me might be able to explain that to me. They used to always have these really weird sayings. No connection between issue to issue. I don't know, someone might be able to explain to me. But what else is going on here? Oh yeah, new car. New exciting new car news. The Ferrari 360. I like the Ferrari 360. Again, it's that generation, kind of like the 550. I was young and very impressionable. Obviously the 355 is a better looking car, but the 360 was one of the new. I think it was the first Ferrari that was built in the new factory. I think it's also the first Ferrari that you don't have to drop the engine to do a belt change. Yeah, I think it's actually aged quite well. It wasn't mad about the styling when it first came out, but age has been kind to it. It's way better looking than the F430, and I will fight anyone who says anything different, because the F430 is one of the worst looking Ferraris ever built, except the Scuderia. But that goes for all the faster track variant Ferraris. They always look cooler. Yeah, so Ferrari mod now. Yeah. There's a precursor to the, it's like the concept version of the Renault Aventime, which is arguably one of the coolest cars ever made. Beast. There's a lot of shit cut out of these magazines because I used to stick pictures on my wall. R34. This sounds great. Look at the small little write-up they had for the R34 Skyline. 1 page. It's one of the first. Like, well, no, was it the first car? No, the S3 came before it, which got a much bigger write-up. I suppose it is a JDM car, but still. No, it's not automatic. What a car. What a car. Ooh, the Honda HR-V. Look at that. Giving it the welly. Cocking a wheel. Fair play to him. Who is that? That's the thing about these old car magazines as well. It's like, I know this one's 21 years old, but even some of the newer ones, like mid-millennium and stuff, there's a good few names I don't recognise. People who've obviously just fallen through the ether, and just, I'm sure they're out there somewhere, but some of them, like, I try to look them up on Twitter and stuff, and they don't seem to be knocking around anymore. Like, this is by Peter Grunert. Peter Grunert? I never heard of that guy before, and I don't know, I hope he's still trucking. 4.2 Quattro A8, yes please. What's it? Sounds like an Australian V8 touring car. Very nice. What the fuck is that? Marin speed. Yeah. It's got a Merc V8 in it. I'll stop reading the car magazine now. It's not very interesting. Well, oh yeah, I found this when I was out digging around. Only only some people of a certain age will understand what this is and what this was originally used for. So this is something from my youth, as you can see from the shirt that's on the front of it. But this is a collection of my old car badges. Now, before you say, my father was a firefighter, so these badges came from cars that were either crashed or burnt out. I didn't go around stealing car badges much. Mini. If anyone wants any of these, or they need them, feel free to contact me. Mini. There's an old AA one. What else we got? Alfa Romeo. It's quite nice. Ford. Old. I assume that's an old Ford. Do they still have that background? I don't know. That's how you know it's a Honda. Or maybe that's how you know it's a Honda. Toyota. Apparently the Toyota badge is all the letters for Toyota in one symbol. T-O-Y-T. I don't know where the A is. Well, I suppose, yeah. Don't know if that's true or not. Another AA badge. Did you have to put the AA badge on the car back in the day so they knew you were? Because you wouldn't have had a laptop or like a smartphone to check if you were actually a customer. 2 BMW badges. That one's in good nick. This one, not so much. And the BMW badge, these are probably too big. I doubt these are E39 ones. Because the bonnet badge on this is almost non-existent anymore. And I'm kind of like, will I keep it there? You know, because daydreaming with idle hands is that if I do keep this, and you know, I feel that it should survive, is that I will give it all mechanical TLC and attention that it needs, but do nothing to the aesthetics. Because one, I don't give a shit about aesthetics of cars. Well, I do. I love a beautiful car, and that's why I do love the E39. It's beautiful. It's a timeless design, but I don't care about keeping it clean. And I think a car should wear its battle scars, and also means you don't have to worry about it. And there's a little bit of surface rust I'll take care of, but other than that, the bits that are hanging off it, the scratches and the dents, you can keep them. You know, it's what makes us us. And a Rover badge, there's someone out there who definitely wants that, I guarantee. And I will extort them plenty of money. Because Rover went through a few different badges. Same thing, was always the Viking ship, but there was variations of it. But mostly just Toyota's still using that. A badge is essentially the same, but I don't think anyone puts badges on anymore. Honda's the same, pretty much. Ford, essentially the same. Mini, no, well, Minis, we won't go there. Yeah, so that's one other piece of crap that I found when I was out digging around as a car enthusiast. As well as, if you are really bored in this time of isolation, as I clearly am, I have some car colouring books, which I can send people the files to. If you want to just send me a DM or an email or whatever, I'll send you on these. You can print them off if you have a printer, and get yourself some colouring pencils or crayons, or if you have children, all that shit's probably in your house. There's loads of different shit. There's like an R5, and it's probably the WRC Focus, First Gen Impreza, Group B, fucking Sport Quattro, short wheelbase, fucking Quattro. Yeah, so if you want them, shoot me a message. I might make more of these dumb videos. This one was just a bit of an experiment because I'm bored. While there's nothing going on car-wise through the coronavirus, it's going to be hard to think of content. But one beautiful thing about being a car enthusiast is there's a fucking rich history out there. Oh, yes, there's always the classifieds. That's one thing I'm going to do. One of these evenings when I'm going to have a good deep dive into the classifieds and see some interesting shit for sale. Again, probably shit you don't want to be buying in the current climate, but when this shit clears up, we're all going to be gagging to go for a drive, and we'll probably end up doing things we shouldn't. But you never know. There might be something out there that might just cheer you up after this time of strife. So yeah, I might start making more of these. Anything you'd like me to talk about or hear me say, or things I can change or improve, do let me know. I'll put some links in the descriptions to shit I was talking about. Oh, one thing I was going to mention, again, you feel the free time shit that you might want to watch. Um, Here's a recommendation for you. Some people will have already seen this. It's not a out of the blue random choice. Some of you younger audience might think it's shit because you grew up on fucking Ken Block and Jim Canna GoPro HD slow-mo bullshit. But back in 1990, Peugeot made a video called Climb Dance, and it's footage of Ari Vatanen, the legend that is former WRC world champion. Ari Vatanen taking a Peugeot 405 T16, is that what it's called, up Pikes Peak for a record run. And that was back when Pikes Peak was fully gravel, and it's beautifully shot. There's some funky French music in it, and there's a bit in it where he's one-handing it around a bend and he has to put his hand up to stop the sun glare. It's brilliant. I'll put the link to that in the description. So if these continue on, I'll try and recommend cool car videos that you may or may not have seen or haven't seen in years or have never heard of, or etc. etc. So let me know if you want to see more of this. I'm probably going to make them anyway, whether no one watches or not. I'm sure there's plenty of things I can improve on. But you know, every day's a school day. We're all supposed to be trying new shit, you know, living our best lives during this time of lockdown. But in all seriousness, hope you all keep well and be safe, and I'll talk to you again soon.